If military science is indeed a true science, then its rules and strategies are repeatable and are universal laws. As such, they are also the immutable laws of God. In Preparing to Make War, author Rick Tallent draws parallels between natural warfare and spiritual warfare in a unique and powerful manner that brings the reader or student into a new understanding of the battles we face, why we face them, and how to attack and counterattack the enemy of our souls. Preparing to Make War was first released in 1994 and has become a favorite among pastors and Bible teachers, with one prominent megachurch pastor calling it easily the textbook on spiritual warfare. Preparing to Make War addresses the current militant spiritual climate with answers to why the physical manifestations of the spiritual battle have permeated every sector of society, why the division and racial strife, and why false religions are dominating the news, the streets, and society. To get your copy of Preparing to Make War by Rick Tallent, send $10 plus $5 shipping to Rick Tallent, P.O. Box 223, Lafayette, Georgia 30728. Other works by Rick Tallent include All Friends and Family, Finding Rhonda, and Ashes in the Rose Garden. If you would like all 4 books, send $50 plus $10 shipping to Rick Tallent, P.O. Box 223, Lafayette, Georgia 30728.
Well, good morning, everybody. How are you? It is the 5th day of December 2024. I am Rick Tallent, your host, and welcome to MANNA in the Morning for this Thursday morning. It's I've been off the air for a few days for various and sundry reasons, but most of it having to do with my health and just trying to get myself together enough. You know, if you're not mentally ready to go on the air, it's difficult. But if you're mentally and spiritually ready to go on the air, the 30 minutes just passes quickly by. And this morning, I want to just take this little interim time to probably do what many would call an infomercial, because it's coming up on Christmas time, and Christmas time is a great time to give the gift of books. And today, that's what I'm going to talk about. Got some news for you on my upcoming books, but let's get started. You already saw the commercial for my first book, Preparing to Make War. And if you do not have a copy of this book, you need to order it. It's $10 plus $5 shipping. That's $15. Address at the bottom of the screen, which is not on there, but we'll have to get that taken care of here. Let's see. Let's get the logo up there, and well, we'll just have to work on getting the we'll just have to work on getting that. We can put the address up on the screen. I have the address available. So get ready to write down the address. It is Rick Tallent, P.O. Box 223, Lafayette, Georgia 30728. And include your check or money order, and we will get the books right out to you immediately. Preparing to Make War is a book I actually wrote and published 30 years ago in 1994. It's on spiritual warfare taken from a military perspective. This book is still one of the best sellers that I have, and we ship copies of it out on a regular basis. But I'm pushing it pretty hard for one simple reason. Okay, this book needs to be in your spiritual book library. Now, I know you're saying, well, you're the writer and you're selling it, so you're hawking your book. Yes, I am. But this book was called by one mega church pastor easily the textbook on spiritual warfare. And I have a half dozen different letters from major Christian leaders from across the nation endorsing this book. You need this in your spiritual library. If you're one of the people that actually has a copy of this, has studied and read it, then go to the Facebook page and comment and encourage people to get this. This makes a great present gift. And it's spiral bound. Okay. We did that on purpose. It would have been cheaper to permabind it, but we did spiral bound so it will lay flat like that. So you can go through and you can, and the top is large. The top is large. Okay. So that you can go through and you can make notes and you can study it over and over again, because it's going to open your eyes on a lot of things that you may have never thought about. And I'll just encourage you to do that very thing, to order that book. Okay. The rest of my books at this point are novels of friends and family. The first book that I wrote, novel that I wrote, and it's about a guy that starts out as a minister as a teenager and then drops out of the ministry for personal reasons, goes into the business world, and is quite successful. But then the Lord gets hold of him and puts him right back where he was in the ministry, and much to the chagrin of his wife, socialite wife, and spoiled brat adult children, who think that he's lost his ever-loving mind. And you know what he has? He's taken on the mind of Christ instead of his own mind. And then things start going badly. Okay? And this is the story of friends and family. One of the members of his church where he is pastoring is a former mobster, and he comes to him and tells him things that he didn't want to hear. And from there, I'll let you read the story. I will tell you that several who have talked to me about this book have shaken their head and said, I couldn't put it down. It just literally, they could not put the book down. My second, and that book is $15. It will be going up after the first of the year because printing costs have increased considerably, like everything else. And after the first of the year, it's going to be $20, not $15. So if you want to order it now, now's the time. If you want, because book prices are going up, I've held off as long as I possibly can. My second novel, Finding Rhonda, is a story of step siblings who promise to take care of each other and watch out for each other. And when the older of the two becomes 18, that becomes impossible. And he has a choice of either joining the military or going to jail. He chooses the military. His stepsister's life is not as good as his, and they lose contact with each other after after her life goes to, as Mama would say, hell in a handbasket with drugs and other problems. He retires from the military and seeks to find her, determined he will bring her home, even if it's in a box. Finding Rhonda, $10 plus $5 shipping. My third book is another big novel, Ashes in the Rose Garden. It's the first of a series of books based in a fictional North Georgia community. The whole series is subtitled Deception by Proxy. And basically what that means is that you can only hide so many skeletons in the closet before the hinges pop off. Okay. And this is a book that really, it goes into family relationships and interpersonal relationships and people whose lives are based on money and people whose lives are based on Jesus, and how those personalities collide. And it is an exciting book. I'll just read you part of the introduction. John Fletcher was determined to show everyone he was a better man than the poverty of his youth, and in his mind, monetary success was the only way to prove it. Returning from the trenches of World War I, carrying the scars of the horrors of war, the Dear John letter from his ex-fiancée, and a hard and bitter attitude toward life, he set out to turn his meager savings into a fortune. He marries, has a son, but the marriage is far from the loving relationship of her dreams. And although he finds financial success, he stands to lose everything because of his former fiancee. And this births a family feud that lasts for generations and attempts to destroy all who are caught in its web. There's an emotional roller coaster through this book. And I will tell you that one of my friends who read the book, was reading the book, contacted me and said, I cannot stand that main character. He's a bad man. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to continue to read the book. I encouraged her. I said, keep reading. He does get saved. Okay. So that's the story. That book is currently $15. If you order just it, it's $5 shipping in addition to that. My fourth novel, Building a Life, takes you back to Carson City, Georgia, fictional Carson County, Georgia, by way of Atlanta. And this young man, Building a Life, is the story of Marcus Walker, a young college graduate whose parents own a mega $1 million construction development company in Atlanta. Upon graduation, he expects to return to work with his father. However, because he's worked with his dad ever since he's old enough to go on the job site. However, he's told by his father that he lacks the experience to work for the family company, that his monthly allowance ends in a few weeks. Needing a job, he applies to a smaller competitor of his father's company and becomes the elderly owner's trusted associate. Marcus's girlfriend and sometimes fiancée is the daughter of his father's financier business associate. A spoiled rich girl used to getting her way. Marcus tries to please her, however, is never good enough. Finally, he breaks off the relationship and concentrates on his career. But that is a serious problem for their fathers, who were behind what they considered an arranged marriage, and an uncivil family conflict erupts. Then, on a job site, Marcus meets Amanda Jackson, a small town girl with a bubbly, outgoing personality and a Christian faith that draws them together. And that's the intriguing story of what happens then. And it gets pretty rough and exciting too. And it is $12.50. It will be going up to $15 first of the year. $12.50 plus $5 shipping. If you want all four of these books, okay, the first three novels plus that $50 plus shipping. Let's see. And if you want all of them, $75, including shipping. Okay. The address, I'll put it up on the screen here in just a few moments. And, if you need to, if all this is too much information for you, just contact me. I'll be glad to talk to you and tell you. You can email me or text me. I'll put those, or call me, and I'll put that information up on the screen for you later. Now, here's the good news. The next novel, Love Interrupted by War. This is the front and back cover of it, and it will be coming out shortly. And then its sequel will also be coming out at the same time. And there's the cover for it. These two books are based in World War II. They're also based in Carson, the fictional Carson County, Georgia. And here's the final edited version of Love Interrupted by War. And it has to be reformatted to the same size as the rest of the books. But it is a powerful story of a young couple who fall in love, and World War II begins, and he volunteers to go off to war. And he returns from war a disabled veteran. In the meantime, she's gone to school. She's not only had a baby, but gone to school, and has become a nurse. And it's the story of their life and their family. It's called, title of this one is Love Interrupted by War. And it will be coming out very shortly. The second volume of the War Bride duo is Until Death Do Us Part. And it is finished as well. Editing and everything's finished on it. And it's the story of a young lady in Chattanooga, Tennessee, who thinks that her method of entertaining the soldiers during World War II is acceptable when it is not. And she and her Catholic priest have words about what marriage is and is not, and what she is doing and what she should not be doing. Her mother also has words about. Well, she ends up meeting a soldier, falling in love, and he goes and they marry, and he has to is shipped off to the Pacific. And I won't tell you all of it, but from there, things get really, really interesting. And as you can tell from the cover photograph, that's the Chattanooga National Military Cemetery in Chattanooga, Tennessee. She loses her husband in the war. But then she meets another guy who's a disabled veteran. And that begins the rest of the story, as Paul Harvey would say. And then, because of his job, they move from Chattanooga to Carson City, Georgia. And guess who they meet? They meet the characters of Love Interrupted by War. And from there, the families become the best of friends. And it's some of the relationship things. These are books about relationships, okay? So if you like a story that's got lots of excitement in it, as besides just relationship, you'll love these. The next one, I don't have the cover art for it yet, but it is finished. It's called Deception, and it's the story of the son of the woman in this book and his life. And it picks up in the 1960s, and it's the story of a young man who befriends a young lady at college, and who's stranded on the side in the parking lot at the college. And from there, they get married, and then he finds out things about her that are very bad. And there's a lot of relationship in there, and there's also crime and punishment in there. And then the fourth one that's ready for the publisher is Where There Is Smoke. Okay, and it is finished, as you can see. I don't have the cover art ready for it because these two will be going to the publisher after the first two, because they are in the sequence. It also is based and part of the Deception by Proxy series. So, and I have several more that are in the works. And yes, I have been doing something besides sitting in my recliner. These novels are not your normal Christian novels. I've read some, and to be honest with you, I read a series of novels by Jack Kavanaugh a few years ago, and they were just fantastic because although they were Christian novels, man, they weren't like most Christian novels that I had read. Most Christian novels that I'd read, the main characters, it's as if they walk around with their hands folded in prayer and their eyes looking up every day, and nothing bad ever happens to them. And if it does, they always handle it perfectly. Folks, my novels are not that way. My novels are life adventure novels. And these novels, people make mistakes. People do things they're not supposed to do, what they shouldn't do, even Christians. But it's how they deal with those mistakes. It's what happens when they fall down. It's what happens when they realize that they don't have control of their own lives. And the mistakes that they've made may be on the verge of destroying everything in their lives. And they have to make decisions, hard decisions. And that's what these novels are about. These novels teach the Word of God through the relationships with these people and how they learn to deal with things that sometimes are pretty difficult. Yes, there's bloodshed in them. Yes, there's adultery and fornication and other things that happen in these books, because guess what? That happens in real life. And my novels do not avoid real life situations, but they hit them square in the middle of the eyes, square in the bullseye, with not only those who decide to make wrong decisions, but those who choose to make right decisions. And I believe these novels are capable of helping people to see how Jesus Christ can help them to turn their lives around. And how, if they don't, their lives will continue to spiral downward as they worship the world, the flesh, and the devil, and not Jesus Christ. It's stories of how God moves in people's lives. Now, how can a preacher write these kind of novels? Well, it's real simple. Would you believe in any of these? And that's eight novels plus Preparing to Make War. But in these 8 novels, I wasn't working from an outline. But the stories evolved and they flow. And the things that happen, it's as if it's the next day's newspaper. And there's more stories to come, because I have a number of more that are on the computer in some stage of completion. Now, if you don't like novels, then order my book, Preparing to Make War. $15, $10 for the book, plus $5 shipping. We'll get it out to you just as fast as we possibly can. Or you can order any of my other books. The 4 novels that are already published of Friends and Family, Finding Rhonda, Ashes in the Rose Garden, and Building a Life. Okay? $50 plus $10 shipping. So $60 will get you all 4 of those books. Folks, as a writer, I have to make decisions on what books to publish and which ones not to publish. I have to make decisions on how to distribute my books. I'll be honest, and all and the reason why is because I have in my experience and the experience several of my friends who are writers, we have had very bad experiences with the electronic book industry. And my son Joshua works in that industry, and he encourages me, "Oh, Dad, you need to put them back on lecture." No, I'm not going to. Because the accountability is not there. And I will continue to publish and promote my books as long as I have the money to do it, and as long as I have the strength to be able to continue writing. Why? Well, because I love to write. I love to tell these stories. And to me, the stories are exciting. And I will promise you this. If you start reading any of these novels, you're not going to want to put them down. I've heard that from too many people. The characters are well developed. The storylines are well developed. And they flow. And they have a point. And sometimes those twists and turns are just like in real life. Because these are life adventure novels. And your life without Jesus Christ is going to be an adventure you don't want to go on. These 4 novels right here, ready to go to the publisher. They're more of the same kind of books. You can go to my website to get my address if you want to, www.ricktallent.com or RickTallent.com. Or you can contact me through Facebook, YouTube, or however you're watching this broadcast. I believe books can help people in their life. And writing them is a passion for me. I love it. I enjoy it. I enjoy telling the stories. And you'll enjoy reading the stories. And the gift of books, I'm not talking about the electronic ones. I'm talking about paper and ink books. It's something tangible that people can grab hold of. I mean, hold it in their hands, just like they hold a Bible. And in the case of my novels, these books have the content to draw people to the Lord. And that's what I really love about writing. I will be working this next year, Lord willing, the creek don't rise, on the sequel to Preparing to Make War. It's already pretty much written. I just need to go through and reread it and clean it up and add some commentary. And of course, design a cover. Give the gift of books. You never know who that book may touch. Because there's a lot of people, they won't read a Bible. And if you label it as a Christian novel, they won't read it. But if you read it as a life adventure novel that they will enjoy, guess what? They will start reading and they will continue to read. And the Word of God will sneak inside them through the stories. And they'll learn that trusting in Jesus is all that really matters. Until next time, this is Rick Tallent saying go with God because he has already gone before you and prepared the way. He is your rear guard. And no matter what happens, my friend, Jesus will always be right there by your side. Have a great day. May the Lord bless you. And here's the address. You can make your checks payable to Rick Tallent or to Grace Fellowship Church. Either way, we'll process them appropriately. And may the Lord bless you. Have a great day. Go with God because he has already gone before him, prepared the way. He is your rear guard. And no matter what happens, Jesus will always be right there by your side.